I really don't see Palantir getting to $9, despite what Citibank and Morgan Stanley are saying. This is the big picture on Palantir. This is the monthly chart. And if price is going to get down to $9, we're talking about the lows or the accumulation area down below. And I don't think price is just going to pull back 88% or so, whatever that retracement amount is. Let's just see what it is. Yeah, about 88 or so retracement. It's not going to happen. Here's another reason why it's not going to happen. If we go to the weekly, we see price is supported by this monthly bias level at $14. That's a huge level of buyers that price would have to breach. Now let's get into the details. So recently Morgan Stanley downgraded Palantir, although they raised their target from $1 to $9. But that still implies a drop of 40%. AI bulls like Cathie Woods has bet big on Palantir this year. You have Wedbush analyst Dan Ives. He's been a cheerleader on TV for Palantir. And then you also have Jim Cramer, although I wouldn't give much weight to that. But he's also endorsed Palantir. Now yes, Palantir is primarily a defense contractor, and its growth is dependent on defensive budgets and bids being awarded to Palantir. And yes, the stock is probably pricey. Investors are paying 16 times revenue to a company with growth in the teens and marginal profits at best, but it's not getting to $9 technically. Now fundamentally, for the bears, let's look at this video that may support a $9 price.
But now let's bring in George Tiller, senior markets correspondent here on the network. George, I wanted to hit on Palantir, got downgraded today. Every time I look at this company, the inroads they're making in AI, but then I looked at the number of customers that they have. Last quarter, it went up to 161 only. I mean, it seems like this data analytics moving into AI makes sense across the board, but this stock getting pounded today and downgraded.
Yeah, it is. Look at the downgrade today. Citibank basically downgraded to underweight from equal weight, and they've got now basically a price target at $9. And I think the reason being is if you think about artificial intelligence, predictive analytics, data intelligence, if you will, that's essentially the roots of Palantir. And the roots also are really founded in the military. The Department of Defense was a major customer, which actually helped the foundations of Palantir. But the challenges for Palantir is breaching the private sector. They have been moving more so into the private sector realm of the equation. But the challenge also from that standpoint is think about the competition now when it comes down to commercial and enterprise level based customers. Now, if you look at the report last quarter, which was published on the 7th of August, sales only grew about 13%. The total customer count on the commercial side, which is the private sector outside of course, the Department of Defense business they have, grew about 30%. So one would say perhaps that despite the number of customer count increase for Palantir, they may have had to make some concessions to keep existing customers in the private sector on board with their software. So I think this is an interesting situation where we're seeing a divergence of the better playing, if you will, valuation AI-based stocks. I'm going to put NVIDIA out there, maybe Aristonet is another one that's actually hitting new 52-week highs versus Palantir, because if you look at the projections last year, they were expecting 30% compound annual growth rates in sales by 2025 or through 2025. Obviously, they missed that last quarter. If you look at the earnings profile for Palantir, They're expecting about 23 cents a share. That's on an adjusted basis for this year. But 2024 is not very meaningful at 26 cents. That's about 12% growth. But the kicker is it's trading around 73 times forward earnings. And so that's about 5 times EBITDA. It's expensive. And I think that's one of the reasons why Citi is downgrading the stock. And I also think one of the other reasons why is there's a lot of competition now at the private sector level. And that's what I think is challenging Palantir.
You know, George, I'm going to read you a quote from the Citigroup note on Palantir.
Morgan Stanley.
Sorry.
Morgan Stanley
yes,
downgraded.
I thought it was. And it's going to be nightmare fuel for people that are long AI stocks, and that is this: looking for a tangible revenue contribution from generative AI, and the fact that Palantir had the lack of a monetization strategy. So therefore, George, these people, there's so much excitement about AI, but these people got to find out how to make money from it. And when they do, there's going to be winners, George, and there's going to be losers.
Absolutely. I think we're seeing that divergence happening. I mean, it comes down to tangible income. And I think that's where you're going to start to see the divergence away from the competition. In other words, there's a lot of competition out there for the private sector AI. I mean, just think about Google and Microsoft altogether are very competitive in this space. Salesforce also is very competitive in the artificial intelligence area from an ERP or enterprise resource planning software standpoint, or even CRM or customer relations management software standpoint. That's really where Palantir's growth estimates came from. It was the private sector. Now their core business, their core government business, their public sector business is still robust. That's helping keep their business operating. But I think you're just going to see now a valuation divergence. You know, very expensive AI stocks that have no tangible, haven't proven themselves from a tangible standpoint to make profits from it. Yet, I think Palantir fits in that same space, along with C3 AI, by the way, which is symbol AI, versus, you know, companies that are tangibly making profits from AI. And that's, again, some of the hardware companies like Aristanet and, of course, NVIDIA.
All right, so getting back to the weekly chart, not only do you have price just sitting in this huge monthly buyers level at $14, if we scroll down to the daily chart, you can see the 100-day moving average kind of getting into that zone. That should serve as dynamic support. But you also have the 200-day moving average, which is also slowly creeping up, which should also serve as a huge dynamic support level. And this is the $9 level that Citibank and Morgan Stanley says price is going to get to. Again, if I pull back to the monthly chart, I'm just not seeing a 88.6 retracement. Now, for the bulls, good news is that price did breach and close above the weekly sellers level at 1850 before moving down, which means that this weekly sellers level is no longer valid, but I just left it on the charts for now. That makes room for price now to surge much higher moving forward. What do you think? Leave me a comment. Do you see more pullback? Do you see $10, $9 for Palantir? Or was this just a pullback before the next impulse move higher? Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Please like the video.